are you making more money? And I had a business I looked at the other day. They had 11 VAs that were doing, I can't remember, some sort of like data cleaning work.
VAs.
Yeah, virtual assistants. So low skilled labor overseas that was doing work. And I think it was something in the neighborhood of like $11,000 a month is what they were paying for these 11 VAs. And they were doing a good job and it all worked. And they then spent $350,000 to try and create an AI system that would replace what these 11 virtual assistants were doing. But that means they spent 3+ years of costs on what these 11 virtual assistants were doing. And it wasn't even the constraint of the business. It was just a process that they could automate, not that they should automate it, because it's not the thing that's limiting their growth. And so they still need more customers. And that wasn't the thing. This was like part of their quote process or something, but that wasn't the limitation. They didn't have enough demand. People are using AI in the wrong places. They're trying to start AI businesses when they shouldn't start AI businesses. They should use AI in their business. They're trying to advertise as AI businesses when you should just advertise the thing that your customer cares about, which is the solution to their problem, the outcome. None of that's changed, but because you got really excited about it, you think your customers are gonna be excited about it, but a lot of people are afraid of AI. So it's not necessarily even a positive, and it's not making you more money, which is the final question.
When you listen to someone like Elon Musk, he says that work will become optional in the future. And I sat here with a couple of experts on AI. They kind of explained to me what it is. And from a very simplified perspective, this machine that has these neural nets in it, which have lots of parameters, basically connections like the human brain does. And when they train it, the parameters become reinforced. The ones that made the right decision and the ones that made the wrong decision are like basically cut out. Again, I'm simplifying this. These brains, these digital brains, are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It's like almost inconceivable to me, based on what they've said to me, these AI experts, that at some point it isn't able to do a lot of the cognitive work that people are currently doing. My question really here is like, where does the value remain in a world where intelligence is cheap and abundant and higher, one could say, and also in a world where robotics are coming over the horizon too? Like, where is the value?
I think stakes. For example, AI can give all of the recommendations in the world, but someone has to own the decision. And so as of right now, maybe it will in the future, AI isn't a citizen of any country. It doesn't pay taxes. And so somebody has to be responsible.
To liability.
Yeah. And upside on the flip side. And to take this into different domains from a media perspective, imagine Jimmy, so Mr. Beast, has a video and they're like, Mr. Beast is getting replaced by AI. He's not gonna get replaced by AI. Because if he had a video that said $5 million and the $5 million wasn't real and the Lamborghini wasn't real, there'd be no stakes.
Yeah.
Like chess, right, has become more popular now than it's been in recent history. But robots can beat humans at chess. But no one cares.
I think about the F1 as well. You'd still want Lewis Hamilton in the car. You take him out of the car, you stop watching F1.
Right. So humans want stakes. And so there's the compensation side of it, which is that somebody's going to be responsible. Someone has to risk the money. Somebody paid for the tokens. Someone owns the LLC. Someone owns this. And so there is value in the judgment and the assumption of risk and upside, which can be money or just the responsibility. From a media perspective, we still have to introduce stakes into the show. Now, of course, there's going to be the fiction world. They're going to be much harder hit. But if you're trying to do a reality TV show, the real part has to be there.
One of the things that I find really interesting about you is you spend a lot of time thinking, and in a world of artificial intelligence, a lot of people are now deferring their thinking to these frontier models like ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or whatever. And we've spoken about this before, but one of the things we both agree is that knowing the right questions to ask, clarity of thought, critical thinking, making the decision is going to be one of the things in a world of AI that's critically important. So my question to you is like, how are you having good ideas, cultivating good ideas, and giving your space, your sort of mental space, to be able to think about problems? What's your practice?
I'll take this from two different angles. So first is, I think outsourcing thinking to AI as of right now is still a really bad decision. It's like, I think anybody who's used AI for any period of time knows that you can get it to agree to anything. And that's frightening when it comes to making decisions. And so every time I'm like, I think it's gotten a little better. I'll just give it a really obvious decision to make. I'll go, okay, let's open up Claude, let's open up OpenAI, let's open all of them up, and I'll ask the same question to all three, and they're just all over the place. And so I'm like, okay, this is still back to my judgment, right? Number two is that if you do delegate your decision making to it, you get dumber. Now there's all this research, I'm sure you've had people on the podcast who talked about it, and it's like, I for sure, this is the best asset I've got for now, so I want to keep it as sharp as I can. Do not delegate the hardest work you have, the hardest thinking work you have, because you will just get so weak so fast.
A new idea that sprung into my mind over the last, I'd say 3 to 4 months that I've kind of been chewing with is this idea of what happens when you go long. So long-term thinking and how you build differently today if you just extend the time horizon, and then how you can like beat competition just by like, instead of thinking in terms of, okay, you know, founders, they always think in terms of 5 years and then exit. But what happens if you think in terms of like 50 years? What are the different decisions you make in terms of the foundational blocks? And this is why I have these blocks, because I saw you do something on YouTube with some blocks before. Could you explain this idea of sort of long-term thinking in terms of foundations?
We do this exercise in person with entrepreneurs because I think it's so powerful, which is if I were to say, hey, build me the tallest tower using a series of blocks. If I say you have 5 seconds, you're right here, right? And that's all you got. And you're like, oh, it's time, hands off. If I said, okay, now let's assume we had a little bit more blocks than I could build in 5 seconds. And I said, okay, what if I said you had 5 minutes? Would you build it differently? What if I said you had 5 days? What if I said you had 5 years?
And you have unlimited blocks.
Right.
Yeah.
And so what happens is the foundation completely changes based on the height of the building because of the time horizon you're thinking in.
Yeah.
I had a mentor tell me this a long time ago, and it like really stuck with me, which is the fastest way to build a $10 million business is not the fastest way to build a $100 million business. Even and the fastest way to build $1 million business is not the fastest way to build a $10 million business. Like you could probably build a one-person agency to $1 million a year pretty quick.
One client.
Right. Yeah. It's just like, it's just, you could do it really quickly. Getting to 100 though, you think about it differently. You would, and so I think to your point, one of the still outstanding competitive advantages that you can have as an entrepreneur from a thinking perspective is just thinking longer.
Yeah, it's really been front of mind to me. It's funny because when I started thinking about, do you know why it is? It's because I told myself in this season of life that I was going to do the business that I'm running now, which is our holding company called Steven.com, forever. And I immediately noticed that I made a different set of decisions. I started thinking about the factory, I called it, which is, you know, Elon's example of it's building a prototype is easy, building the factory that builds the cars is 50x harder. I started obsessing over the factory, which in part in this analogy could also be seen as the foundations that we lay to make this durable over the long term. And then speaking of Elon, I look at the decisions he made with both SpaceX, which I'm an investor in, and Tesla, where he was like, you know, I could have bought the batteries from Ford, but I'm going to make a completely new battery from scratch. Do you know, I could have used other people's electricity chargers, but I'm going to build the entire charging network across the United States from scratch. And this is someone who's thinking long term. And what happens then is they have the most durable moat 7 years from now. And that's, so this is, that becomes the value of the business. And actually it was all a byproduct of just thinking over a longer time horizon. Entrepreneurs and startup founders, as you know, we like rush to like get the exit, raise as much money as we can.
Fit,
and it looks like you're in an unstable building there. It looks like that,
strong wind, right?
Right. I could blow that over.
Even during the exit process, if it's a fast, company, it's like you're kind of like, just please stay. Just everything stay fine. No one leave. Like no big accounts go away. Like you're just like holding your breath for 6 months and being like, please just go through. And then if it goes down to this for like a week or two, and they're like, hey, why are the billables down? You're like, no, it's a momentary blip. It was expected. It was actually in our. Did I not send you the updated forecast? Like it's a whole thing. And I'll do it with the drawing because it might be a little bit easier. But like, if you were to build 100-story building, you'd have to dig way deeper. You'd have to have you build with different materials going up. And so there's 100 decisions that get made that if you're doing 100 stories versus one, you choose differently. And so where it gets really tough is that people, they want to have it all. And so say, I want to have the speed of building a 1-story building, but then they get to 1 story and say, well, actually I want to have a 10-story building, but the foundation wasn't right. And so this is where entrepreneurs they'll do this, they'll skyrocket here, and then they plateau. And then sometimes, unfortunately, the correct step is that you have to take 2 steps back, rebuild the foundation, and then it goes up again. And so I think, to your point, focus and patience are the 2 enduring competitive advantages because they're so anti-human.
Yeah, so anti-human, so anti-Instagram. I've got no announcement to make this month because I'm doing boring shit, like hiring.
Like Bezos, like the decision, I still think about this, like the decision that he made, that he was just like, I'm going to have a logistics company be my competitive moat. He started as a bookstore online, and to go from there to like, no, we're gonna own the trucks and the warehouses and be better at warehouse and delivery than anyone else. That's what we're going to do with our online internet business. But who can unseat Amazon right now? Really tough.
What's interesting as well is that particular moment there where the entrepreneur gets this, they come to people like me and you in the street and they say that I can't get past here, bottleneck.
Yeah.
What is it that they should have done? So many entrepreneurs come up to me, they might hit, 500K revenue, 1 million revenue, and they come up to me and they go, I don't know what to do, how do I get to 10 million from here?
Yeah.
And I think in part what you're saying is they should have made a decision earlier on to build a slightly different type of company from zero.
I'll say what the $1 million business owner is missing when they're trying to get to 10 is what they would have done differently is they would have stayed longer in the product market fit phase, or trying to make sure that the customers who come in keep wanting to spend money with them, which they either do periodically. So like if you buy a soda that you like, you keep buying it. It's not like you're on a subscription, but you just buy it regularly. On the other hand, there's subscription revenue, which is truly recurring, like your Netflix subscription, whatever. But they know that when that customer comes in contact with the business, they're going to stay, and that money's going to keep going, which is what allows it to stack. And so if we think at the most basic level, if every time you get a customer they never left, then the business will do nothing but grow. It will either stay the same or it will grow. Whenever you get a new customer, it just keeps growing. And the difficulty of the $1 million entrepreneur is that getting to $1 million you can do really quickly, or 10. And I know that the world is like, I can't believe that. I promise you can do it if you just learn enough skills. But that can happen really quickly because it just doesn't take a lot of moving parts to make it happen. Getting to 100 or getting to $1 billion in revenue, I haven't gotten to $1 billion yet, but I feel confident I know what we need to do. The $1 million entrepreneur is trying to fit $1 billion of new sales in 1 year. And that's the problem, is that at the end of next year, because all the customers they signed up to make their $1 million are gone because they aren't good enough, they have to go back to the market and sell and get another $1 million of customers. So they think, oh, if I want to get to $2 million a year, I have to go sell twice as many customers, which is true. But if we had to compare two companies, let's say we have company A and company B. All right, we got company A and company B. They both are selling